this is Motorola's latest flip phone, the Motorola Razr 60 Ultra. And today we're going to take this phone outdoors and we're going to see if it's any good at landscape photography. Now, I'm not going to dive into the specs of this phone in this video. I'm going to leave that for other reviewers out there. This is primarily just about the camera hardware. Now, although I'm going to be talking about landscape photography through the majority of this video, most of what I'm saying is going to translate well into other types of photography as well. So if you're just curious about how these cameras perform on this phone, do stick around. We've got lots of photos and a few videos to go through. And yeah, most of the points, like I say, will translate into other forms of photography. Now, just briefly before I jump into the camera hardware, I just want to mention I'm trying to hit the 1,000 subscriber goal. So if you enjoy this video or if you enjoy any of my other content that's on my channel, do consider subscribing. It really helps the channel out. And yeah, I'm just trying to grow to that 1,000 subscriber mark at the moment. So yeah, any subscription would be greatly appreciated. I don't tend to ask people to subscribe usually. I don't like advertising myself, but yeah, just while we're trying to hit that 1,000 subscriber goal, I just thought I'd mention it just to give you a little prompt to press that subscribe button down below. But yeah, like I say, any subscription is greatly appreciated. So let's just run through the camera hardware on this phone. We have a main sensor, which is a 50 megapixel sensor at f1.8. And this does have optical image stabilization. Next to that, we have an ultrawide sensor, which is 50 megapixels as well. And this has an f2 lens, but doesn't have optical image stabilization. One bonus that you do get with the ultrawide camera is it doubles up as a macro camera as well. Then on the inside display, we have a 50 megapixel camera again. This is also f2. Because you've got the cover screen on the front, you can use both of the lenses as your selfie cameras. So I've just not seen the need to use that inner display camera yet. So I've had this phone now for around 2 weeks and I've done 2 photography trips and probably taken around 200 images with this. And my initial impressions are, I'm really impressed with the quality of photos that come out of this phone. Usually when you have a flip phone, they sacrifice on the camera hardware a little bit just because they're so thin and they don't have much room for the bigger sensors that the flagship phones have. But yeah, the quality of the photos that are coming off this have really impressed me. I wasn't expecting this. When I bought this phone, I was going into it thinking that I was going to have a bit of a sacrifice on image quality, but these days I don't tend to take that many photos on my phone, so it was a sacrifice that I was willing to make. But surprisingly, it's turned out to be one of the better camera systems that I've had on a phone in a little while. I wasn't really expecting this, but the photos just have this really nice look to them. The colors really pop, but they don't go oversaturated like phones of old. It handles colors really well. The contrast is dealt with really nicely and it doesn't have that tendency to go full HDR. It does keep the shadows quite dark and there's quite a lot of like tonal contrast there. So you just end up with a little bit more depth in photos than usual. I do find that a lot of other smartphones tend to like blow the shadows out too much, and then it's great because you can see detail there, but it just gives the photo a bit more of a like weird look to it, like an over-processed look. Whereas the photos coming out of this phone, they don't look too over-processed. You can still tell it's a phone photo, but they just have this like really nice look to them. And straight away, as soon as I started taking photos on it, I was really impressed. And I just noticed like the sharpness and the contrast mainly, just because it's done in a nice way and it doesn't seem like over-processed. So yeah, I'm really impressed with the photos that are coming out of this. So if you take a look at this photo of our dog here, like the sharpness and detail there is just really nice, but it's not overdone. And then there's like a nice shallow depth of field because it's like a slightly larger sensor, so it gives like a little bit of depth. And then if you just look at the shadows in the scene, like I feel like they just look really nice and there's just a nice contrast to it. The greens are not too oversaturated, they have a nice look to it, everything looks really natural. And I think just a quick glance of this photo online, I wouldn't suspect this has been taken on a phone, especially a flip phone as well. Like usually, like I say, the flip phones are not usually that good when it comes to the camera hardware. But this photo, it just really stands out. It just looks really good. So yeah, I'm really impressed with this phone at the moment. Another very surprising thing for me was the zoom capabilities on this phone. Now it doesn't have a dedicated telephoto lens like some of the other phones out there, but it has a 2x crop mode and a 4x crop mode. And what that does is it takes the 50 megapixel sensor and punches in 2 times and uses like 25 megapixels instead. So instead of it being a digital crop, it's still part of the sensor. It just uses like half of the sensor to crop in. I don't know if I'm explaining that fully correctly. I think I'm right, but there'll be other reviews out there that dive into that a little bit more. So if you're curious, just go and seek them out. But I'm pretty sure that's what it's doing. And the 2x photos look great on this phone. And then when it comes to the 4x zoom on this phone, I was not expecting anything. That is a digital crop on top of the 2x, I think. And I was just expecting it to be quite overprocessed and look a bit mushy. But to my surprise, the photos that come out of the 4x look better than some of the phones that I've had that have had dedicated telephoto lenses. Like, I don't know what Motorola are doing here, but full credit to them. It is amazing. So I've been doing a lot of 4x crops in these photos that I'm showing throughout today, and it's just really impressed me. If you get it on a bigger screen, you can see there is a bit less detail and maybe a little bit more processing. But overall, if you're just sharing to social media and things like that, the photos are really good. I've noticed on some of the other phones sometimes when they've got a dedicated telephoto, is they can be a little bit soft or a little bit hazy, but the photos on this look really good. It's almost like you do have a telephoto lens on this phone. It's incredible. I don't know what they're doing, but they've done a really good job, so well done, Motorola. Now, after the 4x, there are some other modes, but anything after 4x kind of falls apart, so I've not really used it. I'll throw a couple of examples. There's a 30x zoom that just looks like a watercolor painting, but yeah, the other zooms are just basically for maybe reading text from afar or something like that. But yeah, after 4x it does kind of fall apart, but 2 and 4x are really, really good. Now, I will just touch on the ultrawide a little bit more as well. This sensor isn't quite as strong as the main sensor, and I've noticed sometimes that the exposure is slightly darker than a photo taken on the main sensor, and the corners are very soft. It's unfortunate. I thought it would have been a nicer ultrawide with it being 50 megapixel, but it seems to fall short like most other ultrawides do out there. Now, Motorola have collaborated with Pantone on these cameras to get the color and skin tones Pantone validated. And basically what that means is it just keeps the colors more natural and true to life. And I have been very impressed with the colors, so I do think that collaboration has helped, because usually you do find some of the phones, they'll go a bit wild and they'll either oversaturate or sometimes even desaturate because of the HDR. So yeah, I have found the colors out of these photos to be really nice. So at the beginning of this video, I did mention this is a flip phone, and if you've not seen one of these before, basically what it means is it's just this tiny little phone when it's closed, and then you can open it up, it becomes a full-size phone. And basically the benefit that you get here is just when you're done with your phone, you just have this really nice, tiny pocketable phone to go in your pocket or your bag or whatever. Phones are getting that big now. They're a bit annoying in jeans pockets, to be fair. So having something like this that just folds in half, like it's super nice. You don't notice it in your pocket or anything, and it fits in bags a little bit easier. So it is a nice thing to have. But what it does bring is it allows you to use the main cameras, as I've already mentioned, as selfie cameras. So because you've got this full-size cover screen on the front, it just gives you a really good preview of what you're like taking photos of, if you're taking photos of a group of friends or you're just trying to take selfies of yourself. And you can also record video from that cover screen as well, so it comes in really handy if you're doing any vlogging with this phone. Also, this has flex mode, so it can keep itself upright and it can act as a tripod if you want to try and get some group photos from afar or anything like that. And I think it does have a couple of gestures, like you can wave at the phone or something like that, and it sets a self timer off. So just a really nice little benefit from it being a folding phone. It just has these like little photography features baked in that just are a bit of a nice, fun to use thing. So this camera has a lot of modes built in. It has a night mode, it has action shot, which is for fast moving subjects. I've got an example here, so you can see one photo is a bit blurry and the other one is with action shot on and everything's a bit more sharp. and that's just for fast moving subjects. It kind of cancels out the shutter delay. Apologies, this is again our dog, but it was just a good way of showing what the action shot does. There is a long exposure mode as well with a few different settings. It's got one for traffic, star trails, light painting, things like that. And what this does is it mimics a long exposure on a mirrorless camera. I've got a few examples here again, and it works quite well, to be fair. I just did it with a bit of water, did it at 2 seconds, and yeah, it's turned out all right, to be fair. There is a pro mode as well, and that gives you control over all your settings, and you can shoot RAW and things like that. I didn't use it. I didn't find a need to use it with this phone. I think I did the last review on RAW, and I edited all those photos, but I thought in this video it'd be nicer to just show the default photos, just so you can get an idea of how this camera performs. So yeah, everything you're seeing in this video is just straight out of camera, no edits or anything like that. Now Motorola do have a couple of gestures built in, which come in handy when the phone is closed as well. So you've got a little chop that you can do, and this turns on the flashlight, and then a little twist, and the twist turns on the camera. And I just find that they're quite easy to use, just in a pinch. I've been using the flashlight one a lot, just, you know, if I'm trying to find something in the dark, I just double chop it and then the flashlight comes on. It's really easy. And then the camera one's cool as well, but I have found it a little bit tricky to open when it's in a folded mode. I don't know if it's just because the phone's not as big, it just seems a little bit harder to twist. But when the phone's open, you just give it a slight twist and it just opens the camera straight away. So yeah, just a nice little gesture to have there. It's just a little bit easier sometimes than pressing the power button or unlocking your phone. I'll briefly touch on video as well, even though I've not really done much video recording and I don't usually use my phones for video recording that much. As you can see here, the video looks quite nice. It's got a nice amount of detail in it without it looking over sharpened again like some other phones do. If you look at this video here with the canal barge, it struggled with the sky a little bit and some of the highlights are a bit blown out, but it is a bit of a tricky scene because I was under those trees. But overall it looks pretty good. It can shoot up to 8K 30 FPS on the main sensor, and then both outer lenses will do 4K 30 or 4K 60. There's a few 1080p slow-mo modes there as well if you want those. And then there's another cool feature if you are doing something that's a little bit more actiony, maybe running and things like that. And it's called Horizon Lock, and it's something that some of the action cameras have. And basically what this does is you can rotate the phone in any orientation and it will keep the horizon locked. Now when you go into this, it is 1080p. It has got a little bit of warping going on, but I think if you're just trying to capture something that's, I don't know, I'm trying to think of what action you would take this phone in, to be fair, because obviously it's a folding phone, so it's a bit fragile, so I don't feel like you're going to go snowboarding with it or anything like that. But maybe if you're running around with your kids, or you're at like dog or something and you're trying to, if you want it to keep it centered because you're just waving the phone around, maybe it'll come in handy for that. But yeah, it's a pretty nice feature to have. I don't know when I'd use it personally, but I'm sure some people out there would get some use out of that. Now there's no pro video mode on this phone, so there's no setting for 24 FPS, which is a bit unfortunate really, because a lot of phones have that now. I'm not really sure why they've not got a pro video mode when they've got a pro photo mode, so maybe if Motorola are watching this, a pro video mode would be handy for some creators out there. So yeah, that's all I've got to say about the camera hardware on this phone, to be fair. Overall, I'm just really impressed with it. It's really surprised me how good it is compared to, like, I used to have one of the older Z Flips. It was the Z Flip 5, I think. And the cameras on that were pretty terrible. So for this I was expecting this to have a similar camera hardware, to be fair. But it's really surprised me. It's probably one of the better camera setups I've had on a phone for a little while, which is crazy because it's not got a dedicated telephoto lens, which I usually have on my phones. So yeah, I'm very blown away by the camera performance on this phone. Looking forward to getting to use it a little bit more in the future. While we're at the end of the video, I just will mention some other bits and bobs. Nothing to do with photography, but just general day-to-day things that I've noticed about this phone. So as I mentioned the Z Flip before, the cover screen on that really annoyed me. So I had the Z Flip 5, as I was saying, and it had the bigger cover display on it. But to open any apps, you had to go through another app to enable good lock and do all this stuff to just get apps to run on that cover screen. And even then, you couldn't run every app on the cover screen, which was a bit annoying. So every time you wanted to use that phone, you had to open it, and it was just a bit of a frustration. And it ended up in me selling that phone after about 3 months, I think it was, because I just couldn't get on with it. When I saw this phone, at first I was a bit apprehensive, but then I just looked at the style of it and I was just like, oh, I really want that. So I took a chance and I thought, you know, hopefully this time around it'll be a bit different. And the cover screen on this phone is so good. So basically it's like it's running another instance of Android. Like, it just works like a normal phone. So you have to allow each app when you first open it. There's just a pop-up that comes up and you just press allow. And then you can use any app on this cover screen, and it's so good. Like, throughout the day, I will just use the phone with the cover display, and I'll only open it if I'm going on a longer scrolling session on social media, or I'm doing a big text and I just need a bit more space. It's so good, and it just means that the flip phone form factor doesn't get in the way day to day. And then another good thing about this phone, I just feel like the software is really nice. So if you've ever used a Pixel before, it's very similar. It's just got a lot of the nice little Pixel like details and stuff. It's like Pixel software with a little bit of Motorola sprinkled on, like those gestures I was talking about earlier. Now, I did get the scarab green one. I don't know if you can see there. You've probably seen it in some of the B-roll footage that I've had up. This back is Alcantara, and I love it. It looks amazing, but I also kind of hate it because I'm just constantly like, how is this gonna hold up? Like, I'm scared of having like dirty hands and like dirty in it or getting stains on it and things like that. It seems hard wearing enough, to be fair. Like I said, I've had it for like 2 weeks now and it still looks new, but I just don't know how that's going to hold up over time, over like 6 months to a year. I probably will do an update on this at some point, but it looks nice, but I'm just a bit cautious about it. So yeah, we'll see how it gets on over time, I suppose. And then I think the last thing I'll mention is just the crease on the inside and just the inside display overall. Obviously, if you've seen a flip phone or a folding phone before, sometimes, especially the Samsung ones, can have quite a deep crease in them. And the crease on this is very, very minimal. I did notice it was barely noticeable at all when I first got it, but after I've started unfolding it and folding it, it started to get a little bit deeper, but nothing like my Z Flip was beforehand. The hinge is really solid. It stays in quite a lot of positions. It is waterproof, and it's got a slight dust resistance rating as well. Obviously, little bits of dust might get in the hinge. You've just got to be careful with that. But yeah, overall, it seems pretty rugged. And yeah, I've got no complaints over build quality, to be fair. So yeah, that's everything that I've got to say about this phone. Like I said, the cameras have really impressed me, and then just the phone in general is just really impressing me. I'm really enjoying using it. So I highly recommend this phone over the Z Flip. I know that new Z Flip's going to be coming out soon, but I just don't think the software is going to be there. I feel like Motorola's software is a lot better. So I think if you're in the market for a flip phone, Motorola's the choice right now. I think they've absolutely smashed it out of the park with this phone. It's amazing. So yeah, that's where I'll leave it there. Like I was saying earlier, if you enjoyed this video, do consider subscribing. It'll help a lot, just as I'm trying to reach that 1,000 subscriber mark. So yeah, do subscribe if you liked this video. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.